Okay, so we're going to look at Nina's story now. And we're going to start with what is the point of attack, the event that begins the story we've been brought in to see. The Nina story is the story of getting justice for her. And so up until this point, here's where he mentions Al Monroe's name. And up until this point, we've just had a lot of setup. This is all setup. We learn that she entraps men. Oh, and the scene where she stares down the construction workers to the tune of, "It's raining men." And then we see the hash marks in her little book. She lives with her parents. And then on the target number 2, the entrapment scheme is fully revealed. We see the whole, how the whole thing works. And then we see Nina introduced in a photo. All of that is set up for this action line the action story, which starts with her hearing Al Monroe's name. Okay, so when do we see an end of the first act decision? How about this? She decides to confront Madison. That's a definite decision. There's nothing going on in her life that requires, that she's confront Madison. It's a definite direction that she has chosen. Then she confronts Dean Walker. So this is her sort of her larger scheme. We've seen her doing these little escapades with these guys, trying to hold men accountable one by one, which is like a futile task. And so she's launched her big picture scheme to correct her trauma about losing Nina. So what I wanted to point out about that scene here, once we confront it on the Nina line, is that caught with a target and regrets alienating Ryan is actually where the repetition compulsion and her opportunity for growth collide. Ryan, her opportunity for growth, catches her with a target, and he's exposed to her repetition compulsion. They collide together. I define that as the midpoint of the story. Okay, then she's confronted by Jordan Green's remorse, this fabulous scene with Alfred Molina. Then she's given the video of Nina's assault by Madison, and it's revealed that, Ryan was present, Ryan was there. And she gets the bachelor party address from Ryan and shows up at the bachelor party, and he kills her and destroys the evidence and is arrested. So here we see the two stories laid out, and I hope you can sort of appreciate how they're functioning differently, but totally in concert with each other. You can't have one without the other and have this be a functioning story. What I want to do is go through now and identify the components of 3-act structure in each one, because they're slightly different in very interesting ways. So we've already established that the point of attack in the Ryan story is when they meet. We've established that the end of the first act is when she decides to go to lunch. I talked about getting caught with the target and having immediate regret is her midpoint in the Ryan story. It brings her back around to him. And then the things are bad as they can possibly be. This is where being given the video of Nina's assault functions as the end of the second act. Things are as bad as they can possibly be. Seeing the video of Nina's assault, which she's not, and knowing that it was passed around and everybody saw it and, nobody did anything about it. Things are, really, really bad at that point for her. Shocking, disturbing, traumatizing. And then things are worse when she sees that Ryan is in the video. But she has the last word in the end with her little scheduled texts, a nice device there. So I put this in rainbow colors so that you can see how it corresponds with the same points on the action line. We've established that hearing Al Monroe's name is the point of attack. It's where the story begins that we've been brought in to see for the Nina story. She hears his name and that sparks everything else. She decides to confront Madison. That's an end of the first act decision. Again, she's confronted by Jordan Green's remorse. That actually changes everything for her too, in terms of the Nina story. And Al kills Cassie. Things are seemingly as bad as they can be. They destroy the evidence. Things are worse. And Al's arrested. Everything is better. So see how we can have two separate 3-act structures, and they're right on top of each other, and they're working together. And there's kind of an odd balance to them at the same time that they're slightly off from each other, and they're functioning in concert all the way. That's what I find fascinating about this film. You don't find this in every film. Okay, and we have a triumph. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we don't have on the Ryan line, there is no growth. When we establish an internal challenge in a character at the beginning of a story, made that clear that, this character has an internal problem, sort of a characterological or emotional, psychological problem at the beginning. What we want is for them to get somewhere with it in the end. Growth sounds kind of storybook or something, but it's the B. It's the B that we want to get to, is some kind of change in this character, because we see that their life is not working for them with their existing assumptions, their existing emotional state, etc. They need to move to another place internally. That's the B. Generally speaking, it is growth. Now I'm just, flashing in my mind on the film Joker, where Joaquin Phoenix becomes a villain. Which is a B. We see in, the Joker character going from Arthur Fleck to Joker is a journey. It's a progression from A to B, but he does not achieve growth. He achieves transformation for sure, but it's a tragic transformation. So it can work that way too. The transformation doesn't have to be positive. We can be telling a tragic story as well, but there is a point B. So here we have neither growth nor tragedy, and we don't have tragic transformation. She starts to move on, but then she flips right back to where she was at the beginning. So there's no growth, there's no transformation, either positive or negative. We just, have lost that opportunity for her to move on. But she does achieve a triumph in the process. So that's our action story. We do come to a place of triumph in an action/plot story. The B is always external. It's either, triumph over an enemy, solving a problem, solving a mystery. It's some kind of external accomplishment. And in this case, we have triumph, very definite triumph. It's the triumph that makes the whole film palatable, that we're trying to describe in this film a reality for women in the world, which is not a fun reality. It's not a happy story, but the film gives us a triumph in the end. This is the way the world should be. These people should be held accountable. Failing that, without having the opportunity for judicial triumph, she achieves her triumph. She achieves the triumph that she is looking for. And that is that works together with the tragedy of her being killed, gives us both a triumph and tragic ending at the same time, and the opportunity to describe this larger social problem.